to the Be Well Now Method podcast. I'm Janet Huehls, creator of the Be Well Now Method and the podcast, and founder of Exercising Well. Has this ever happened to you? You're on a roll with a health habit, you're on a good start, you're making progress, and then bam, you hit a wall. You get injured, or a work project comes up, or a family stressor, or you just get tired, or the most frustrating barrier of all, your motivation disappears. We call these barriers, but what I found is that this barriers mindset is actually what's getting in the way. I'm going to share more about that today on this podcast, but let's start with a Be Well Now meditation so that we are ensuring that we're starting in this state in our body and our mind that allows us to listen and take in this information, and especially to listen to what only you know inside, so you can use this information in a way that works for you. So just simply put your body in a position that it feels like it's holding you with ease. Just feels like your bones are holding you and your muscles don't have to work very hard. And feel your breath. And just notice how your body is taking care of you. There's nothing you have to do right now. Your breath is moving in and out. Your heart's beating. Your body's digesting food, turning it into energy. And your body is recovering and just taking care of you in so many ways. And let that feeling of your breath lead you to your center. This is a place that you know something beyond thought. It's this wordless wisdom place that has all these nerve endings, that has your intuition and where you know what has meaning and value to you. And so as you feel this place in your body, notice when you think about that habit that got side railed by a barrier, notice what's important to you about making that habit happen. Why do you want it? What's the core why there? What's the meaning behind it? What are you really wanting? What do you want to feel? How do you want to function better in a way that allows you to enjoy more of life? What's it all about for you? And then just know that you have that knowing inside and you don't really have to do anything about it. You just know that inside. And then expand your awareness to your body and notice any place that might be holding tension or kind of feeling ready to move, and move in a way that just feels like your body is taking care of you by allowing it to release that tension. So trust that your body knows how it wants to move right now. And that might be just a gentle massage on your neck and shoulders, or it might be a big, full, open stretch. Just notice what feels good in your body right now as you move. And then when you're ready on an exhale, let your body come back to stillness. Just take a notice of how you feel right now. Okay, so barriers are not the problem. It's calling them barriers that's the problem. Okay, let's look at that. When we have this barriers mindset, we're constantly looking for ways to work around them. We're looking for ways to kind of avoid them and maybe trick yourself into being motivated. And these tricks and things that we try to use are actually bypassing the root cause of these barriers. And it's the root cause of those barriers that is actually the information that you need so that you can eliminate them. Not just get over them or get around them, but eliminate them by turning them into guides. They are guides. They are there to tell you something. And sometimes we might not like what it's telling us, but that's because we've been conditioned for this whole make progress faster mindset. Okay. So it feels like maybe they're getting in the way of progress, but actually they're your keys to progress. All right. So let's look at what that means. I'm going to use a few examples that I've heard from my clients and patients. The first big one that I hear a lot is that somebody has knee pain and their doctor told them that if they lose weight, that knee pain is going to go away. So now they're in a quandary. All right, I've got to go burn a bunch of calories so that I can lose weight so I can feel better, and then I'll get rid of this knee pain. But the problem is pushing through that pain to burn those calories is actually making the knee pain worse, not better. And when you even get to a goal weight, you're going to have a knee that's worse, not better. Okay. So pushing through pain in order to lose weight just doesn't make any sense. Pain is inflammation, right? We don't want to increase inflammation. Weight gain already does that. You don't want more inflammation, but pain, more importantly, is a sign. It's a sign from your body that something is going on that needs your attention. And the more you ignore pain, the more your brain thinks you didn't get that signal. and it starts sending more pain signals. I did a podcast with Cynthia Austin, who's a pain coach, and she gave a lot of insight about this whole brain factor in chronic pain. And so check it out. I'll link it below. But just to say that if you ignore pain physically, you're not helping anything, and mentally, you're not helping anything. So what are you supposed to do? You got to lose weight to help this knee pain. You exercise in a pain free or pain reducing range. And if that means walking for 5 minutes, that's what you can do that lowers pain, then that's what you do. Okay. The hardest part about that is convincing your brain that has been so conditioned that more is better, that that's enough. That 5 minutes is enough because it reduced pain. You could do that 5 minutes several times a day. That might work for you. Or you might choose something totally different. So you might start with stretching, which is unheard of in the weight loss field, right? To stretch, that's not going to help you lose weight. But if it lowers inflammation so that you can move more, yes, it will. Okay. You might start with strength exercises that are really good quality strength exercises, movement science based, so that you're not straining your knees. I have some videos on knee pain, but the big picture here is that pain is a sign something needs to change. Okay. Pain is your body and brain trying to tell you something, tell you a message. And the more you listen to it, the more it can help you be a guide to how much is enough so that you can continue to exercise and make changes and not have to push through pain. Get rid of that mindset that pain is a barrier and start thinking of it as a guide. This is hard because pain hijacks our brain and it makes us in a stress state and it's a threat. And the more it's limiting your life and your future, it becomes more of a threat. So we've got to normalize pain into just what's the sensation and how do I help it? And movement science can help a lot with that. Okay. It really helps a lot when you know how to move your body well, when you know how to listen to it, when you know how to adjust, and when you know how to do exercises that aren't painful, then you've got a whole menu of things that you can do more than just walking. So there's lots of options out there. If you've been told that you've got to lose weight to get rid of pain, it's not true. You've got to get rid of pain in order to lose weight. Okay. And you can't completely eliminate pain, maybe, but there's a lot of things that you can do to use mindful movement as an anti-inflammatory to help lower pain so that you can think clearly to do what you need and want to do to lower your weight. Okay. So flipping that script to pain as a guide, and especially when it's limiting your exercise when you're trying to lose weight to reduce pain. The second thing that I've heard people say, and this is kind of similar to that, is that soreness is normal and actually good. And especially in the beginning, you're just going to be sore. It's part of exercising. It's normal to be sore. It means you're making progress. I can tell you that's 100%, 110% not true. There is no science that says that soreness is needed or normal and needed to make progress. It's a myth and a misinformation out there. And it's true that if you're an athlete, you're going to be sore, but it doesn't mean you're making faster progress. It means now you've got to do more to manage that soreness before you can actually get stronger. Okay. So when we think soreness is normal, there's two problems with that. One, we think if we're not sore, we're not doing enough and we've got to push our body harder, which makes exercise feel like work. And that makes it something that you don't want to do when work is busy or life is busy. So knowing that you don't have to be sore, and if you're sore, that was too much too soon, lets you know that exercise from day one can feel good. And you never have to be sore, ever, if you use a gradual progression and you use movement science to guide you. But this is what I hear from people when someone's telling me, I'm just not motivated. I know what I'm supposed to do. I have the gym membership. I like exercising once I get used to it, but I'm just not getting myself there. I don't know what's going on. I'm just not motivated. When I ask them how they imagine it's going to feel on that very first day back to the gym, they usually say things like, well, I know I'm going to be sore. That's just part of it. I'll be exhausted, but that's just part of it. And it's that assumption that keeps us from starting. So when we reduce exercise to the level that doesn't make you sore or exhausted at the start, then you're more likely to want to do it because your brain wants you to avoid what's uncomfortable for your body. And your body is always sending you more signals than your brain is sending to your body. So when you're sore, your body's telling your brain in the background, don't do it, even if the foreground of your brain is saying, well, I got to exercise. Okay. So soreness is one of those hidden barriers that I find that we just assume it's normal, but it's really not. And it's one of those barriers that's getting in the way. So use it as a guide. If you're sore, adjust what you're doing. But if you follow movement science principles and you use a really gradual progression, then you're likely never going to be sore. So give yourself permission to do that. Another scenario that I've heard that's a barrier is when people are not motivated and they're given the advice, well, just exercise while you're watching TV or, multitask it, do it while you're brushing your teeth, those kind of things. Here's the thing. Exercise means to practice. And if we're practicing something while we're multitasking, we know our brain doesn't multitask very well. So we're not going to get that brain body connection that we really need to do that skill well. When we're exercising to be healthy and feel and function well for as long as possible, we need to practice 3 skills, very specific skills, not just burn calories or get steps, but very specific skills. We need the skill of mobility, freedom of movement to move in all these different ways without stiffness. So we're not kind of hunched over as we're aging, right? And not feeling stiff as much when we're aging. And then we need strength. We need the ability to move against gravity. When that is so limited that we can't even get ourselves out of a chair or up off the ground, we call it aging, but it's really just loss of strength that you can regain. Okay. But we need that. We need those skills as we age. And then we also need the skill of stamina. We need to be able to move for an extended period of time without getting tired. So if you start walking upstairs and you're getting so out of breath, or you run for a bus and you're so out of breath, and you think, oh my gosh, I'm so out of shape. That's just stamina. And it's a skill that we need to practice. So these 3 skills are skills we need to practice, which means we need to pay attention. If we're not paying attention, we're going to miss out what our body's telling us. We're going to miss the specific skills that we need to move in a specific way. Okay. But if that sounds like exercise is going to be boring, no, it's really not. It's going to have more meaning because you're saying, oh, I'm doing this so that I can do this thing that's meaningful to me for a really long time, like play on the floor with my grandchildren and get up without looking old. um, those kind of things. Okay. So paying attention when you're exercising helps, but it doesn't mean you can't make it fun. You can put on good music. You can make it really enjoyable, and knowing it doesn't have to be painful and you don't have to be sore and exhausted makes it a whole lot more fun. Right. So you can see how these barriers kind of intertwine with each other, and one leads to the other, and they all lead to low motivation and not wanting to do it. So pay attention, give yourself that gift of time that you're taking care of yourself, and curate exercise so that it's self-care. It's a time that you feel and function better. It's not work. It's a time to be well now. Okay. And then the last scenario that I hear is kind of the result of all of these. Well, I'm not motivated and I know I just have to push myself to get started and I'm going to be sore. So I need to hire someone to make me do what I know I'm supposed to do. Or I'll get an exercise buddy, or I'll get an accountability app, or hire a coach or somebody to make me do it. And this gets expensive, first of all, but it also is very draining of energy and time. And it's draining of long-term motivation. These are all external motivators. And what we know from motivation science is those external motivators don't last. You have to keep fueling them, which means you got to keep spending time and money to be motivated. Internal motivation, however, is free and it's most lasting. Internal motivation is feeling and meaning. So it's that core why, what's really important to you about this, but it's also how you feel that keeps you internally motivated. So something can be really important to you, but if it doesn't make you feel better now to do those things like eat healthy and exercise, you're probably not going to do it. Okay. All those other things that have meaning, you're going to do. And they're going to take top of the list, and exercise will take low on the list. Okay. So in order to keep exercise motivating, we've got to really curate this sense of meaning and then connect it to what you're doing. So everything you're doing has a connection to what's important to you, but also connected to movement science. So everything you're doing feels good from day one. So the bottom line is these things that we call barriers are really guides. They're really here to tell us what's really going on. But often you got to dig a little deeper and get really curious to figure out what is really going on here. Am I dreading exercise because I think it's going to make me feel worse? Am I just doing it to burn calories so someday I can feel better? Ask yourself, what is going on here? Why am I not motivated? And usually you can trace it back to how you're feeling or a lack of meaning. And then we can start working with those things and build those things up. All right. My upcoming book will take you through how to use this method to eliminate barriers and get unstuck with any habit, not only exercising, but any habit that you're stuck with, because these are foundational principles from movement science and motivation science and mindfulness. My program, Start Well, takes you step by step through applying these principles to exercise. So it takes you through a step by step program to eliminate these barriers and rewire these mindsets of using what's getting in the way as a guide, of learning how to move the right way for your body and trust your body again, so that you're not hitting up against these walls with every turn that you're trying to do your best effort to take care of yourself. You are helping yourself in this way and know how to adjust things so that you get to feel and function better now. That gives you the best chance for feeling and functioning better in the future. Okay, so I want you to be well now. Message me with any questions. Put your comments below. Let me know if you're doing any element of this or any other barriers that I didn't talk about that you want me to do another podcast on. And set up an individual call with me and we'll talk about your barriers and how to turn them into guides. So have a great day. Be well now.